All right, ready to dive into Solarnet.Hub B. I think you'll love this. It's like we're making a kind of audio FAQ today, really breaking it down. And, with your tech background, I think you'll appreciate all the details. Think decentralized networks, alternative currencies, even like a bit of that solar punk feel.
It's a pretty fascinating project.
Yeah, it is. So Solarnet.Hub, or SNH, it's all about, I guess, this sustainable, self-sufficient way to connect to the internet. And here's where it gets really interesting. They've got this physical device, the survival kit. It's like a toolbox for digital freedom.
Yeah. And what's so cool to me is how they've combined this cutting-edge tech with almost this philosophical approach to community and resilience. I mean, they've got their own cryptocurrency, eCoin,
Yeah.
this decentralized social network called Oasis. It even works offline. And then this gamified layer.
There's a lot there.
Yeah, with this like really interesting 8-house system that encourages collaboration.
Okay, well, hold on. Let's back up a little. Let's start with the survival kit. So for someone with your expertise, like what stands out to you about the tech behind it?
Well, first of all, it's built on a Raspberry Pi, which is this tiny but powerful computer that's become, a favorite among tech enthusiasts and DIYers. But
Right.
SNH hasn't just, slapped some off-the-shelf software on it. They've gone all in, creating this, like, unique operating system using Yocto project technology.
Okay, the Yocto project, not something you hear every day.
I know, right? It's essentially a framework for building custom Linux systems, and it gives SNH incredible control over every aspect of the survival kit's software environment. And this allows them to like optimize for security, efficiency, and a really streamlined user experience. And they've also they've taken advantage of Docker container technology to package everything neatly, which makes it incredibly secure and easy to manage.
So like they built this like this bespoke digital fortress on this tiny little computer. I'm already impressed. But what about privacy? I know that's a major concern for a lot of people, especially those who, understand the inner workings of the internet.
Yeah, for sure. SNH has taken some pretty impressive steps to address privacy concerns. For starters, all connections made by the survival kit, including DNS traffic, which is often overlooked, are routed through the Tor network.
Okay, for our listeners who might not be familiar with Tor, can you break down like why that's such a big deal?
Sure, the Tor network is designed to anonymize your internet traffic by kind of bouncing it through a series of volunteer-run servers all over the world. It's like sending your data on this winding journey, making it extremely difficult to trace back to you.
So even if someone was trying to like snoop on your activity, they would hit a digital dead end.
Exactly. And because SNH routes even DNS traffic through Tor, it adds like an extra layer of protection. So your DNS requests, which can reveal a lot about your browsing habits, are also anonymized.
Okay, so that's a level of privacy that's pretty hard to come by these days. So we've got this custom-built operating system, Tor for privacy, and a device that seems incredibly portable and self-contained. I'm sensing a theme of resilience here, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. The survival kit is designed to be your lifeline in a world where, internet access and even electricity can be unpredictable. They've even included a PiJuice HAT, which provides battery power and can be charged using solar panels so you're not tethered to the grid.
Wait, a Keech AT, like it wears a hat.
Well, not literally. In Raspberry Pi terms, a HAT is a hardware add-on that sits on top of the main board and kind of extends its capabilities. So in this case, the PG's HAT adds battery power and solar charging, making the survival kit like truly off-grid capable.
That's pretty ingenious. So you're telling me I could potentially be like sipping coffee in a remote cabin, solar panels soaking up the sun, and still be connected to the internet, browsing through SNH's decentralized network.
That's the idea. They're really trying to create a system that's resilient, adaptable, and accessible no matter where you are in the world or what the circumstances might be.
So far, I'm really liking what I'm hearing. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about eCoin. I'm always a bit skeptical of new cryptocurrencies, especially with all the hype and volatility we've seen in the market. So what makes eCoin different, and how does it actually function within the SNH ecosystem?
That's a great question, and I think it gets to the heart of what makes SNH so unique. eCoin is designed to be much more than just like a speculative asset. It's meant to be the lifeblood of a sustainable, long-term digital economy. And they've baked that intention into its very structure.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this structure, like what makes it stand out from the crowd?
Well, for one thing, eCoin uses this truly innovative three-pronged mining system that combines proof of work, proof of stake, and proof of transaction. And this blend is designed to address some of the limitations and even, ethical concerns we've seen with other cryptocurrencies.
Okay, now that's fascinating. I have to admit, I'm not as familiar with the intricacies of cryptocurrency mining. Could you break down what this three-pronged approach means and how it actually works in practice?
Of course. Let's start with proof of work, which is the most common mining method. Basically, miners compete to solve complex mathematical problems, and the first one to find the solution gets to add a new block to the blockchain and earn a reward in cryptocurrency. The problem is this can be incredibly energy intensive, and it often favors those with the most powerful hardware.
So it can lead to centralization and kind of create a barrier to entry for people who don't have access to those resources.
Exactly. Now, proof of stake is a bit different. It rewards those who hold a significant amount of the cryptocurrency, basically giving them more influence over the network.
Right, so the more you have, the more you earn. It makes sense, but it could still concentrate power in the hands of a few.
You got it. But here's where eCoin's proof of transaction comes in. It flips the script by rewarding users for simply making transactions on the network. So the more you use eCoin in your day-to-day interactions, the more you contribute to the network security and the more opportunities you have to earn rewards.
I see. So instead of rewarding, just computational power or wealth, it rewards active participation and actually using the currency. That seems like a much more democratic and community-driven approach.
Exactly. It incentivizes people to be active members of the SNH ecosystem, contributing to its growth and stability.
All right, so tell me, how does this proof of transaction system actually work? What happens when I make a transaction with eCoin?
Well, every time you make a transaction, you have a chance to be selected to mine the next block and earn a reward. The selection process is random, but the more transactions you make, the higher your chances of being chosen.
So it's kind of like a lottery system, where every transaction is a ticket. The more tickets you have, the better your odds. That's a really clever way to encourage people to use the currency and kind of keep the network humming.
Right, and it avoids some of the pitfalls of the other mining methods. It doesn't require massive amounts of energy, and it doesn't favor those with the most wealth or the fastest computers.
This is all making a lot more sense now. I can see how eCoin plays a crucial role in SNH's vision for a more equitable and sustainable digital economy.
Yeah.
It's not just about trading coins, it's about actively participating in a community and being rewarded for your contributions.
Exactly. It's about creating a system where everyone has a stake in the success of the network.
Okay, so we've got this incredible survival kit, a privacy-focused approach to networking, and a cryptocurrency that seems genuinely innovative. I'm curious to learn more about the social layer of SNH, specifically their decentralized social network, Oasis. From what I've gathered, it uses a protocol called Secure Scuttlebutt, or SSB. Can you walk us through what that means and how it shapes the user experience?
Absolutely. SSB is really at the heart of what makes Oasis so unique. It's a protocol that allows users to create their own decentralized networks where they host their own data and control who they share it with.
So instead of relying on a centralized platform like Facebook or Twitter, where a single company controls all the data, each user essentially becomes their own, little server.
Precisely. It's like having your own personal website, but it's connected to a network of other users who are doing the same thing.
I'm starting to see the appeal. You're not beholden to any corporation. You control your data, and you get to decide who you connect with. But how does communication actually work in this decentralized world?
Well, SSB uses what's called an append-only log. It's basically like a journal where you can only add new entries. You can't edit or delete old ones. And this ensures that the data is immutable, meaning it can't be tampered with or censored.
So it's like a public record, but one that you control. That seems like it would be incredibly valuable for transparency and accountability.
You got it. And when it comes to sharing, you only share your data with people you specifically choose to follow. They then download your log and store it on their own device.
So there are no giant data centers storing everyone's information, just individual users sharing with each other directly. That's a pretty radical departure from the way, most social networks operate today.
It is, and it has some profound implications for privacy and security. Because there's no central point of control, there's no single target for hackers to attack. And because you control your data, you decide who has access to it.
Okay, I'm really liking the sound of this. But I have to admit, I'm a bit of a visual learner. Can you paint me a picture of like what using SNH Oasis actually looks like? Like what's the interface like?
It's actually very user-friendly, even for someone who's not super tech-savvy. They've deliberately kept it simple, using pure HTML and CSS, which means it's very lightweight and fast, even on devices with limited resources.
So no JavaScript.
Yeah.
That's a bold choice in today's like web-centric world.
It is. But it's a deliberate decision to prioritize security, efficiency, and accessibility. They've stripped away all the kind of bloat and complexity that you find in a lot of modern web applications.
So it's like a back to basics approach, but with a focus on decentralization and user control. I can appreciate that.
Exactly. And because there's no JavaScript, there are fewer opportunities for like security vulnerabilities or tracking scripts to sneak in. It's just clean, efficient code.
And what about user profiles? Do I have to create a profile with my real name and photo like I do on other social networks?
Not at all. Anonymity is a core principle of SNH. You don't need to provide any personal information, not even an email address or phone number.
So I can truly be a digital ghost if I choose.
You got it. And they've taken steps to protect your anonymity even further. For example, they automatically strip metadata from images, like GPS coordinates, so you don't accidentally reveal your location.
Wow, they've really thought this through. It's refreshing to see a platform that takes privacy so seriously.
And it's not just about protecting yourself from, corporations or governments. It's also about respecting the privacy of other users. On SNH, you're not constantly being bombarded with ads or having your data harvested and sold to the highest bidder. It's a much more respectful and ethical approach to social networking.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. But I have to ask about the offline capability. You mentioned that Oasis can even function in mesh networks. How does that work, and what are the implications for, like, resilience and community building?
That's one of the most exciting aspects of SNH. They've designed the network to be resilient, even in the face of, internet outages or other disruptions. So if the internet goes down, users can still connect and communicate locally using mesh networking.
So instead of relying on, like, centralized infrastructure, you're creating your own localized network, almost like a digital walkie-talkie system.
Exactly. Each survival kit can act as a node in the mesh network, relaying messages and data to other nearby devices.
That's brilliant. Imagine the possibilities, especially in like disaster scenarios or for communities with limited access to traditional internet infrastructure. They could stay connected, share information, and coordinate resources even when the rest of the world is offline.
That's precisely the kind of resilience and self-sufficiency that SNH is aiming for. It's about empowering communities to take control of their digital destinies and build a more robust and adaptable future.
All right, so we've covered the survival kit, eCoin, and Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to get a real sense of the kind of the scope and ambition of this project.
Yeah.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle I want to explore. The 8-house system.
Hmm.
This whole like gamified approach to community building is something I've never encountered before. Can you shed some light on what it's all about?
Of course. The 8-house system is basically a way to encourage collaboration and participation in the SNH community. It's a framework for organizing people with different skills and interests, and it adds a layer of, fun and engagement to the whole project.
So it's like a role-playing game, but for building a better digital future.
You could say that. Each house has its own focus, philosophy, and set of skills, and members can contribute to the project in a variety of ways. It's a way to channel people's passions and talents into something, meaningful and collaborative.
Okay, this is where I need you to break it down for me.
Yeah.
What are these 8 houses, and what roles do they play in the SNH ecosystem?
Well, we've got Solaris, the House of Governance, Arrakis, the House of Technology, Terra Verde, the House of Sustainability, UNS System, the House of Disruption, Dogme, the House of Knowledge, Helix, the House of Culture, Quark, the House of Security, and Hermandad, the House of Economics.
Wow, that's quite a lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Can we take a closer look at each of these houses and kind of understand what makes them tick?
Welcome back.
I am so ready for more SNH. This is fascinating stuff.
Me too. Last time we were talking about those 8 houses and their, those collaborative efforts.
Yeah, especially that citizen satellite project. Just, wow.
It's really something.
Yeah, it is. But I want to shift gears just a bit and sort of dive deeper into, the technical underpinnings of SNH. So we talked about that custom operating system they've built, using the Yocto project.
Right.
Can you elaborate on, like, why they chose that approach?
Right.
And, what advantages it offers?
Yeah, sure. So you see, using a standard, like, off-the-shelf operating system might seem like kind of the easier route.
Yeah, just grab one and go.
Right. But it would have come with limitations, especially for a project like SNH with its unique requirements.
Right.
So the Octa project allowed them to build this truly bespoke system tailored specifically to, the hardware and software of the survival kit.
So it's like they created a perfectly fitting suit of armor of
Yeah,
the survival kit rather than trying to squeeze it into something off the rack, right?
exactly. And this custom approach has some key advantages. First off, it allows for incredibly tight integration between like the hardware and software, leading to, better performance and efficiency.
I see, yeah.
They've been able to eliminate any unnecessary bloat,
Oh, yeah.
making the system incredibly lean and fast.
That makes sense. Like a streamlined system uses less processing power and battery life,
Right.
which is crucial for a device, designed for off-grid use.
Absolutely. And then, there's the security aspect. By building their own OS from the ground up, SNH has complete control over the code base.
Yeah.
This means they can identify and address potential vulnerabilities much more effectively than if they were relying on, a third-party system.
So it's like they're building a fortress from the ground up
Yeah,
rather than like inheriting one with pre-existing weaknesses.
exactly.
That seems like a smart move, especially when, privacy and security are top priorities.
Exactly. Plus, they've embraced the open source philosophy, making the entire OS code base publicly available.
That's huge.
So this means, anyone can examine the code, audit it for security, and even contribute to its development.
That level of transparency is pretty rare, even in the open source world, I'd say.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like SNH is really committed to kind of building trust with its community.
They are. It's about, empowering individuals and fostering a sense of collective ownership.
That's so cool. Okay, so we've established that the custom OS is a big win for, performance, efficiency, and security.
Right.
But what about user experience? Does this, bespoke approach translate into a smoother and more intuitive interface for the user?
It does. The entire interface is designed with, simplicity and ease of use in mind.
Okay.
They've deliberately avoided using complex JavaScript frameworks, sticking to pure HTML and CSS.
I remember you mentioned this earlier, and I'm still a bit curious about why they chose to go this route.
Yeah.
JavaScript seems to be like the backbone of, most modern web applications.
Right, but it also comes with its own set of challenges. JavaScript can be resource intensive, introduce security vulnerabilities, and be difficult to audit for, privacy concerns.
Yeah.
By sticking to HTML and CSS, SNH has created a much lighter and faster interface that's also inherently more secure.
So it's like they've traded the bells and whistles of kind of modern web design
Yeah.
for a more robust and resilient experience.
That's a great way to put it.
It seems like, yeah, they've prioritized functionality and security over flashy aesthetics.
Exactly.
And I think that aligns perfectly with their, overall philosophy.
Yeah.
SNH isn't about creating this slick, addictive social media platform,
Yeah.
It's about building a tool for communication, collaboration, and resilience.
Exactly. They're focused on creating a digital space that empowers users, not distracts them.
Right, yeah. This is all making a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
They've taken a very deliberate and thoughtful approach to every aspect of the survival kit.
Right.
From the hardware to the software to the, user interface. It's clear that they're not just trying to build, a cool gadget.
Yeah.
They're trying to create a system that can genuinely make a difference in people's lives.
Yeah. And I think it's important to highlight another key aspect of the survival kit. It's modularity. It's designed to be expandable and adaptable, so you can kind of customize it to your specific needs.
Modular. So it's like a digital Lego set where I can add different components depending on what I want to do.
That's a great analogy. The survival kit has a variety of ports and connectors that allow you to add additional hardware, such as, sensors, cameras, or even external hard drives.
So I could potentially turn my survival kit into a weather station.
Yeah.
Or a security system,
Yeah.
or even a media server.
Exactly. And because it's built on the open source Raspberry Pi platform, there's this vast ecosystem of hardware and software add-ons that you can choose from.
Wow.
So the possibilities are really endless.
It just keeps getting more and more intriguing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see why SNH is attracting such a passionate and, diverse community. It's
Right.
not just like the technology.
Yeah.
It's a platform for creativity and innovation.
Right. It is. And that spirit of experimentation and collaboration extends to the software as well. The entire software stack for the survival kit, including the custom social networking client, SNH Oasis, is open source and available for anyone to, modify or improve.
So if I had the technical skills, I could potentially create my own version of SNH Oasis
Absolutely.
with like custom features and everything.
Yeah. Or you could contribute to the existing code base, fixing bugs, adding new features, or even translating it into, different languages.
That's incredibly empowering.
Right.
It means that like the future of SNH isn't just in the hands of the core developers.
Yeah.
It's in the hands of the entire community.
Exactly. They've created a platform where anyone can contribute, regardless of their technical skills or background.
I love that.
So you could be like a seasoned developer writing complex code, or you could be a writer helping to translate the documentation into a new language.
Right. It's a beautiful example of how technology can be used to like break down barriers and create a more inclusive and collaborative world.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay. Before we move on, I want to like circle back to the Tor network for a moment.
Okay.
We've talked about how SNH routes all connections through Tor, including, DNS traffic.
Right.
But I'm wondering if there are any like limitations or drawbacks to using Tor.
Sure.
It seems like there must be a trade-off somewhere, especially in terms of like, speed or reliability.
That's a great question, and it's something that SNH, acknowledges.
Yeah.
Tor does come with some limitations. Because your traffic is being bounced around through multiple servers, it can be slower than a direct connection.
So it's like taking the scenic route instead of the highway.
Exactly.
You might enjoy the view, but you'll probably get there a little later.
Exactly. And because Tor relies on a network of volunteer-run servers,
Right.
its reliability can vary depending on factors like server availability and, network congestion.
Yeah, so there might be times when like the connection is slower or like less stable.
There might be, but SNH has taken steps to mitigate these issues.
Okay.
They've optimized their software to work efficiently with Tor,
Yeah.
and they're constantly exploring ways to, improve performance and reliability.
That makes sense. It sounds like they're not just like blindly adopting Tor.
Right.
They're actively working to address its limitations and make it work seamlessly within, the SNH ecosystem.
They are. They're also transparent about the trade-offs, providing users with the information they need to make like informed decisions about how they use the technology.
I appreciate that honesty.
Yeah.
It's refreshing to see a project that doesn't kind of shy away from the complexities of its technology.
Right.
Okay, I think we've covered the technical side of things pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
But I want to come back to the human element of SNH.
Okay.
We've talked about the 8-house system.
Right.
But I'm curious about the broader SNH community. What kind of people are drawn to this project? And like, what's it like to be a part of this, this decentralized world?
That's a great question. The SNH community is like incredibly diverse.
Oh, cool.
You've got, tech enthusiasts, privacy advocates, artists, activists, educators, and people from all walks of life
Wow.
who are united by kind of a common desire to, build a better future.
It's a real melting pot of like ideas and perspectives.
It is, and it's incredibly inspiring to see people from all over the world collaborating and supporting each other.
So it's not just about like the technology, it's about the connections and relationships that are kind of formed through the project.
Exactly. SNH is about much more than just, code and hardware. It's about creating a space where people can connect, learn, and grow together.
I can imagine that sense of community is like especially important in a world that can feel, increasingly isolating and disconnected.
It is. SNH provides a sense of belonging, purpose, and hope.
Wow. It sounds like a truly special place.
It is.
All right, before we wrap up part 2, I want to touch on one more aspect of SNH that I find particularly intriguing. This concept of like digital sovereignty.
Ah, yes. Digital sovereignty is like a core principle of SNH.
Right.
It's the idea that individuals should have control over their own data and, digital identities.
Can you like elaborate on that a little? Like what does digital sovereignty look like in practice within the SNH ecosystem?
Well, for starters, it means that, users own their data.
Okay.
They decide who they share it with,
All
and
right.
they can take it with them if they decide to, leave the network.
So no more being like logged into a platform because you've built up, like a profile or a following.
Exactly. You're not a product, you're a participant.
I like that. And what about like digital identity? How does SNH approach that?
They've implemented a system of decentralized identifiers, or DIDs, that allows users to create and control their own digital identities without relying on centralized authorities like, governments or corporations.
So I could potentially have like multiple digital identities,
Yeah.
each like tailored to a specific purpose or community.
You could. And you could choose to reveal different aspects of your identity, depending on the context.
That's incredibly empowering.
It is.
It gives individuals, much more control over how they present themselves online.
Exactly. It's about taking back control of our digital lives and shaping a future where technology serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end part 2 on.
I agree. We've explored a lot of fascinating ground today, and I'm eager to continue the conversation in part 3.
Yeah, stay tuned, because there's still so much more to discover about Solarnet.Hub.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Solarnet.Hub. It's amazing. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of this problem.
It's incredible how much thought and detail they've put into every aspect of SNH.
Before we wrap things up, I want to touch on a few more points that I think will be particularly interesting to you, our listeners.
One thing that struck me is how SNH seems to be kind of redefining what a social network can be.
Yeah.
It's so different from like the platforms we're used to,
Yeah.
where it's all about
Likes and followers.
yeah, likes, followers, and chasing that dopamine hit.
Right. It's a breath of fresh air, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
SNH Oasis is intentionally designed to, foster a different kind of online experience.
I say.
They've stripped away all the addictive elements and gamified features that have become so, prevalent on mainstream social media.
So it's less about like self-promotion and more about like genuine connection and meaningful interaction.
Exactly. They've created a space where people can, share ideas, collaborate on projects, and support each other without feeling pressured to perform or chase clout.
Right, right. I'm curious about like the type of content that people are sharing on SNH Oasis.
Oh, you'll find a wide range of content, all aligned with SNH's, core values of sustainability, resilience, and community.
Okay.
People are sharing, project updates, technical documentation, research findings, philosophical discussions, and even creative works like, poetry and music.
It sounds like a haven for people who are like passionate about making a positive impact on the world.
It is. And because the network is designed for, privacy and anonymity, people feel more comfortable sharing their ideas, even if they're, unconventional or controversial.
That's crucial for fostering true innovation, isn't it?
It is.
That like the best ideas often come from outside the mainstream.
Absolutely. SNH provides a safe and supportive environment for those ideas to flourish.
No, we can't talk about SNH without mentioning the role of, cryptocurrency in their ecosystem.
Right.
So eCoin isn't just like a means of exchange.
Right.
It's woven into like the very fabric of their vision for a more sustainable future.
That's right. eCoin is designed to incentivize behaviors that benefit the SNH community and the planet as a whole.
Can you give us like some examples?
Sure. For example, you can earn eCoin by, contributing to the development of, SNH's software or hardware by participating in community events, or even by, simply using the SNH network and making transactions with eCoin.
So it's like a reward system for positive actions.
Exactly. And because eCoin is based on, a decentralized blockchain, it's resistant to censorship and manipulation.
So that means it can't be like controlled by governments or corporations, which is like essential for a project that's all about, individual empowerment and community autonomy.
Precisely.
Now, I know you're particularly interested in the potential of SNH to kind of bridge the gap between like the digital and physical worlds.
It's one of the most exciting aspects of the project, in my opinion.
Can you elaborate on that?
So, you see, SNH isn't just a digital network It's also a physical network of people, projects, and communities.
I see.
And the SNH Survival Kit is designed to be, a bridge between those two worlds.
So it's not just about like connecting online.
Right.
It's about connecting offline as well.
Exactly. The Survival Kit can be used to create local mesh networks, to power, off-grid sensors and devices, and even to facilitate transactions in physical spaces.
That opens up like a whole range of possibilities for using SNH to support, real-world projects and initiatives.
Absolutely. Imagine using SNH to connect farmers in a remote region to monitor environmental conditions in a fragile ecosystem, or to create a local currency for a community that's, struggling with economic instability.
It's a powerful vision, and it's
Yeah.
one that's, resonating with people all over the world.
It is.
SNH is still a relatively young project.
Yeah.
But it's growing rapidly, and it's attracting a diverse community of people who are, passionate about creating a better future.
And it's a reminder that, technology can be a force for good,
Yeah.
that it can be used to, empower individuals and communities, and that it can help us to build a more, just sustainable and resilient world.
And it's a reminder that the future is not something that just happens to us. It's something that, that we create together.
Right.
So SNH is more than just a technology. It's an invitation.
Yeah.
An invitation to kind of reimagine the digital world, to take control of our data and our destinies,
Yeah.
and to build a future that is truly, by the people, for the people. So what are you waiting for? The future is calling. Join the SNH revolution.